January 19th does not arrive gently for chosen ones. It arrives with weight, with pressure, with an internal knowing that something has shifted even if nothing external looks different yet. This is the moment when clarity becomes unavoidable, not because answers suddenly fall from the sky, but because confusion is no longer sustainable. For a long time, uncertainty served a purpose. It kept you flexible, observant, restrained. It taught you patience, discernment, and how to listen beyond surface noise. But this date marks the end of wandering interpretations. What you once questioned internally begins to present itself as truth through repetition, confirmation, and inner resonance that cannot be ignored. You are no longer guessing what direction to move in, you are recognizing it. This clarity does not come as comfort at first. It often comes as exposure. Thoughts you avoided surface clearly. Desires you suppressed become louder. Situations you tolerated suddenly feel intolerable. The fog lifts not to soothe you, but to show you where you have been misaligned. That is why January 19th feels heavy to those who are sensitive. It is the moment when self-deception loses power. You see where you delayed action out of fear. You see where you stayed silent to keep peace. You see where you accepted less because you were tired of waiting. This is not condemnation, it is calibration. Spiritual direction becomes clear not through dramatic signs, but through the removal of distractions. You may notice fewer options excite you, fewer conversations feel meaningful, certain environments drain you instantly. This narrowing is intentional. It is guidance through elimination. What is not meant to continue, you cannot hold your attention anymore. What is aligned begins to demand consistency, not urgency, but persistence. You are not being rushed, you are being stabilized. On this date, the inner voice becomes sharper, not louder, but clearer. It speaks with simplicity instead of emotional chaos. The questions change from what if to what now. This is the voice that has been forming quietly during periods when you felt isolated, misunderstood, or unseen. The solitude was not punishment, it was training. You were being taught to recognize truth without needing validation. That training completes a cycle on January 19th. Clarity also brings responsibility. Once direction is revealed, excuses lose credibility. You cannot unknow what you now understand. This is why some people resist this phase, because confusion allowed comfort. Confusion allowed delay. Confusion allowed compromise. But clarity demands integrity. It asks you to align your actions with your awareness. Even small misalignments begin to feel heavy. You notice discomfort faster. You recover slower when you ignore intuition. This is not weakness, it is refinement. Spiritual direction does not always mean movement. Sometimes it means stillness with intention. You may feel called to pause instead of push, to observe instead of react, to protect your energy instead of proving your strength. January 19th teaches chosen ones that silence can be strategic. Not everything needs explanation. Not everyone needs access. Discernment becomes your protection. You begin to understand that being seen is not the same as being understood, and being understood is not required for obedience. This clarity also separates roles. You recognize who is meant to walk with you, and who is meant to shape you temporarily. Emotional attachments loosen where purpose no longer exists. Guilt dissolves where responsibility was misplaced. You stop carrying burdens that were never yours. This is not coldness, it is alignment. When spiritual direction is clear, emotional confusion loses authority. The activation on this date does not create a new identity, it reveals the one that was forming underneath pressure. You become less reactive and more intentional, less concerned with timing and more committed to truth. You stop negotiating with what you already know. The internal conflict quiets, not because challenges disappear, but because your direction no longer depends on external conditions. January 19th also sharpens perception. You see through manipulation faster. You sense imbalance before it speaks. You understand motives without needing proof. This heightened awareness is not meant to isolate you, but to protect the path ahead. The next phase of your life requires precision, not force. You are not meant to rush into everything that appears aligned. You are meant to move when clarity and peace coexist. This moment locks in a way of seeing that does not reverse. Even if you hesitate, even if you delay, the clarity remains. You cannot return to the old level of confusion. The questions that once haunted you lose emotional charge. The longing for external approval fades. You become anchored in knowing rather than hoping. Spiritual direction becoming clear does not mean the road ahead is fully visible. It means the next step is undeniable. And for chosen ones, one step taken in alignment carries more power than 10 taken in doubt. This is where intuition stops whispering and begins instructing. This is where faith becomes practical. This is where preparation meets timing. The clarity activated now does not rush you forward. It roots you deeper so that when movement comes, it is stable, deliberate, and irreversible, anchored in awareness rather than emotion, guided by truth rather than fear, unfolding according to a pattern that has already begun revealing itself within you quietly, steadily, without needing permission or applause. The decisions you make on January 19th are not ordinary, and they are not temporary. For chosen ones, this date acts as a spiritual hinge, a point where the weight of choice intersects with destiny, and what you agree to, reject, or even hesitate over begins to shape the next 9 years of your life. These decisions are layered. They are not always obvious on the surface. Sometimes they present as conversations, sometimes as opportunities, sometimes as sudden realizations that demand a response. What makes them different is that once they are made, they reverberate far beyond the present moment. You are no longer choosing for just today, or even for the next few months. You are setting a trajectory that will carry forward with momentum, energy, and consequence. This is why hesitation feels heavy at this time. The mind wants to delay, the heart wants reassurance, and the soul senses the magnitude of what is being asked. But January 19th exposes the illusion that time is unlimited. The window of clarity is precise, and what is ignored, delayed, or dismissed carries a cost. Some of these decisions may seem small, almost mundane, yet they hold power because alignment is measured not in grand gestures, but in the quiet, consistent adherence to truth. A decision to speak, to move, to release, or to protect yourself in this moment has ripple effects that will manifest over years, shaping your relationships, your opportunities, and your spiritual growth in ways that are impossible to fully anticipate. At this point, external validation becomes irrelevant. Choices are no longer about approval, recognition, or acceptance. They are about resonance, about alignment with the direction your soul has been nudging you toward, sometimes quietly, sometimes insistently. January 19th magnifies the need to discern between what is convenient and what is divinely aligned. Convenience may feel safe, familiar, or easy, but it rarely propels a life into clarity or freedom. Alignment may feel uncomfortable, uncertain, or demanding, yet it carries the energy of long-term fulfillment. The distinction is subtle but vital. The path of alignment may require courage, but it is the path that locks in your trajectory. Consequences of these choices are not punishment or reward in the conventional sense. They are the natural unfolding of truth. When a decision is aligned with your higher purpose, doors open, timing synchronizes, and resources appear. When it is not aligned, resistance, delay, and frustration inevitably follow. This is not random luck. It is the natural response of the universe to alignment and misalignment. What may have been ambiguous for years becomes clear through cause and effect. The next 9 years are being structured not through chance, but through the cumulative impact of decisions made in conscious alignment with the clarity now available. January 19th also teaches chosen ones the importance of commitment. Decisions are powerful, but they gain full effect only through consistency. Choosing a path without following through is like planting a seed and refusing to water it. It may appear on the surface that you are progressing, but underneath, energy stagnates and potential remains dormant. The decisions made on this date are not meant to be symbolic gestures. They are meant to be lived, embodied, and defended against doubt, fear, and distraction. Every subsequent choice, no matter how small, either supports or undermines the trajectory set on this day. There is also a stripping away of external noise that accompanies these decisions. January 19th clears away the chatter that obscures intuition. The opinions of others, societal expectations, and internalized pressures lose their dominance over choice. What remains is a refined space where your inner guidance speaks more clearly than ever before. The challenge is recognizing it amid lingering uncertainty or old patterns of seeking reassurance. Chosen ones learn that clarity requires listening without negotiation, responding without overthinking, and acting without apology when guidance aligns with truth. The magnitude of the next 9 years is not always visible now, but it is encoded in the decisions of this moment. What may appear as a simple acceptance of an opportunity or a quiet refusal of an old pattern carries consequences that ripple through years of relationships, career paths, spiritual growth, and personal freedom. Even decisions that seem to affect only you personally will extend outward into influence, responsibility, and connection in ways that the mind cannot yet calculate. Timing, synchronicity, and preparation are already responding to what you choose now, establishing the architecture of your life in subtle, unshakable ways. Fear often accompanies these moments, but it is essential to distinguish between fear that signals misalignment and fear that signals opportunity. Fear of loss, of change, or of standing alone is natural, but it is rarely a reason to remain stagnant. Alignment demands courage precisely because the path is uncommon. Chosen ones are often required to prioritize principle over popularity, authenticity over convenience, and spiritual resonance over immediate comfort. Each of these choices, small or large, is a building block in the next 9 years, ensuring that when opportunities or challenges arrive, they are met from a place of grounded clarity, not reactionary impulse. January 19th is a reminder that your choices now are sacred because they are irrevocable in their influence. Even if circumstances shift, even if other people respond unpredictably, the trajectory set by conscious alignment cannot be erased. You may adjust methods, modify timing, or learn lessons along the way, but the foundation remains fixed. It is like the axis of a wheel. The spin may vary, but the axle holds the direction. For chosen ones, this understanding is liberating because it removes the burden of constant uncertainty and replaces it with responsibility. Responsibility is not limitation, it is empowerment. Choosing deliberately and in alignment activates freedom, clarity, and long-term fulfillment in a way that delayed or reactive choices never can. The energy of this state also intensifies accountability. You can no longer claim ignorance or indecision as justification. The moment of decision is now, and the effect is lasting. Chosen ones are called to recognize the importance of saying yes when alignment demands it, and saying no when misalignment threatens it. There is no neutral ground in this phase. The trajectory of your life is being configured by the accumulation of deliberate decisions made with awareness, courage, and obedience to inner truth. And this configuration will guide the unfolding of the next 9 years, manifesting in circumstances, relationships, and opportunities that resonate with the alignment activated now, responding with synchronicity, timing, and energetic reinforcement that cannot be ignored, resisted, or undone. Silence has always carried power for the chosen ones, yet few understand just how strategic it can be. On January 19th, silence transforms from passive restraint into active strength, becoming a tool that shapes not only your internal state, but the external trajectory of your life over the next 9 years. The world often mistakes action for progress, words for influence, and noise for impact, but for those who are aligned, strength lies in measured restraint, in knowing when to speak, when to act, and when to simply exist in quiet awareness. This is not about avoidance or fear, it is about discernment. Choosing silence at the right moment allows clarity to crystallize and alignment to solidify. It protects energy, preserves focus, and ensures that when movement comes, it is deliberate, precise, and irreversible. Silence is the space where intuition thrives. When the mind is cluttered with overthinking, over-explaining, or the constant need to react, the inner voice is drowned out. January 19th acts as a catalyst that heightens perception, amplifying the subtleties of intuition that were previously buried beneath the noise of expectation and obligation. In this heightened state, every thought, feeling, and nudge carries significance. Those who respond with immediate commentary or action before understanding miss the profound guidance that comes from quiet observation. Silence does not mean inaction, it is an active receptivity, a posture of attentiveness to the unseen currents that dictate timing, opportunity, and alignment. The strength of silence also lies in protection. Chosen ones are often exposed to energies, opinions, and influences that are not theirs to carry. Speaking prematurely can create unnecessary conflict, reveal strategic information, or invite interference. By choosing silence, you create a boundary around your energy, guarding the direction of your life while maintaining control over what is revealed and when. The world does not need to witness every thought, nor does it need to validate every decision. Silence ensures that your energy is reserved for what truly matters, for actions and words that resonate with your higher purpose, and for moments where influence is necessary and impactful rather than reactive. In this phase, silence becomes a form of authority. When others are frantic, reactive, or desperate for answers, the calm observer commands more influence than the loudest voice in the room. There is an unseen weight in restraint, a magnetic force that draws alignment without coercion. This is why January 19th highlights the potency of staying quiet. The next 9 years will require influence, discernment, and authority, and those qualities are nurtured in silence, not noise. Choosing when to speak and when to remain still teaches mastery over emotional impulses, over external pressures, and over the human tendency to over-explain or overcommit. Silence also reveals patterns. When you refrain from reacting to every provocation or demand, the true nature of people, circumstances, and opportunities becomes visible. Deception cannot hide in quiet observation, intentions are exposed over time, and alignment is clarified by what persists rather than by what is announced. This is critical because the next 9 years are built not only on your decisions, but on your capacity to recognize and respond to alignment in others. Silence allows you to see clearly who is trustworthy, who is aligned with your purpose, and who exists in a temporary role in your life. It creates a lens of discernment that action alone cannot provide. Furthermore, silence cultivates patience, a resource that is often undervalued. The universe operates in cycles, timing, and synchrony that cannot be rushed. By choosing to remain quiet and observant, chosen ones learn to wait for confirmation rather than forcing outcomes. Patience is a multiplier of power. It transforms decisions from reactionary to strategic, from impulsive to intentional. January 19th intensifies this lesson, making it clear that premature words, promises, or actions can derail alignment, whereas measured silence preserves potential, strengthens intuition, and ensures readiness when movement is required. Emotional regulation is another dimension of silence. Choosing quiet in moments of tension, uncertainty, or provocation prevents unnecessary conflict and preserves clarity of thought. Emotions often cloud judgment, especially when stakes are high. Silence allows space for processing, understanding, and integrating experience without compromise. It converts moments that could lead to regret into opportunities for reflection and precise action. Over time, this practice of deliberate quiet builds resilience, focus, and an unshakable presence that others sense instinctively. Silence, when applied consistently, becomes a shield and a compass simultaneously. Silence also carries spiritual significance. It is in quiet reflection that alignment with higher guidance is reinforced. Prayer, meditation, and internal dialogue are amplified when external noise is minimized. On January 19th, the energy around you shifts in such a way that inner guidance becomes more vivid, more actionable, and less subject to doubt. This makes silence not merely a tactic, but a spiritual practice, a discipline that strengthens the bond between intuition and action, between soul purpose and external reality. The energy that flows through a quiet mind is more precise, more directed, and more potent than the energy that is scattered through constant noise and reaction. Another layer of strength in silence is strategic timing. There are moments when speaking prematurely can create misalignment, attract unnecessary opposition, or reveal intentions before readiness. Silence allows for observation, calculation, and the synchronization of action with timing that ensures maximum effect. Chosen ones learn that the impact of words and actions is amplified not by frequency, but by appropriateness, precision, and alignment. By staying quiet, you retain the power to shape outcomes rather than being shaped by circumstances, to act when the energy is right rather than when urgency pressures you into reactive measures. Finally, silence reinforces independence and self-reliance. It teaches chosen ones that external validation is secondary to internal alignment. When you are not constantly explaining, defending, or justifying yourself, you learn to trust your own understanding of truth. Decisions, actions, and growth become anchored in internal clarity rather than external influence. This is essential for the trajectory of the next 9 years because your path will increasingly require sovereignty, self-governance, and unwavering trust in inner guidance. Silence becomes a vehicle for cultivating these qualities, ensuring that when the moment of decisive action arrives, it is executed with authority, confidence, and alignment, responding to what is revealed within and around you rather than to the noise of the world, allowing influence, protection, perception, spiritual attunement, and timing to converge in a way that is purposeful, powerful, and unshakable, setting the tone for the trajectory of your life in profound and irreversible ways.